This story comes from Physical Level 7416. I fulfilled my 29 female boyfriend, 32 male, of 4 years fantasy. But now I feel conflicted. How do I move on? My boyfriend is a fantastic partner and I love him so much, but he has a kink for me sleeping with other men. Initially, I told him I wasn't interested in doing it and was very adamant about this for the past 3 years as it goes against my values and beliefs. In the past year, I had an ex reach out who I had a good sexual relationship with and trusted, but also had a bit of a tumultuous relationship with. I would never have engaged him about something like this with anyone else who prefers monogamy like I do. But when I asked my partner if he was okay with me sleeping with exes, he was super encouraging. This made me really sad but didn't stimulate me to sleep with him. Fast forward to a very drunk night, and while me and my boyfriend were sexting, he suggested I message my ex. I did, and we ended up setting up a meeting the next day. I went back and forth whether this was a good idea and asked my boyfriend if he was sure, but received a lot of positive encouragement. I also wanted to try it out as I had a great sexual relationship with my ex, and he could provide the more intimate sex that my current partner doesn't give me as easily. It's a lot of dirty talk, and me having to be objectified with other men in this scenario in some way, shape, or form for him to get turned on. My ex and I ended up sleeping together, and it was a great time and went really well, but now my brain has completely turned off my current partner. I've started to really resent this part of him that loves me being constantly objectified for his own sexual pleasure a lot, and I don't know what to do. We've been doing counseling, but I feel like every time we start to make progress, he brings up my cucking him or sleeping with others or whatever as a joke or when we are trying to be intimate, and it just turns me off now. I don't know how to move on from this experience and trust him. Before this all happened, I was okay with the dirty talk, and we were planning for a future together. Now it's so hard to see a future with him, with me happy, but even worse, a future without him. I don't know what to do. Edit. I appreciate everyone's advice and for the responsiveness. I do want to make it clear that he hasn't ever forced me to do anything. For the people who don't understand when I say my boyfriend is a fantastic partner, I mean that he is a genuinely kind person. He's very nurturing, gives me a lot of love and affection. If I'm sad, he notices. He always makes a big deal of any special occasion I have and celebrates my wins above and beyond what I see some people have in their relationships. And also, maybe I miswrote when I said objectified, but more so that he gets off on my being pleasured by other men. This is less of a me being treated like shit in his eyes and more of a humiliation kink for him, of him being humiliated and me enjoying sex with someone else. For me, either way, it feels tough to swallow, but I don't want people interpreting him as some villain when he is an extremely caring and loving boyfriend. A couple of things before we get to the comments. First and foremost, OP, if you value him as you have laid out here, couples counseling is the go-to for this type of thing. But most people on Reddit will jump to that suggestion for everything. I'm only going to recommend that you take this step if you think this kink is something you can accept with time and a different approach. Otherwise, it's best that you separate from him. To some, that's going to sound a bit dramatic, but this type of issue usually ends up as a make or break thing for many relationships. If you want him to change, you will fundamentally be asking him to be less happy in your relationship. And even if, for some reason, you're cool with that, he may eventually pursue getting this desire filled with someone else. So this is something that you will need to self-reflect on to see if it's a workable dynamic for your relationship in the long term. That being said, now to the comments. First comment by Clearheaded01. Him letting his kink go is not happening, and you getting turned off by BF's eager willingness to share you with other men won't either. The two of you appear sexually incompatible. Sorry. This issue will be a recurring theme for your relationship, and unless you see him, not likely, or you changing in this aspect, it seems the expiration date has been reached for your relationship, painful as it may be to admit. Sorry. From Frequent Package 607, you are not only sexually incompatible, but it appears that his pushing you to appease his kink has created a wedge that is beginning to repel you from him. We can't expect the kink preferences to change, so best to let this relationship end gracefully. Realize the irreconcilable difference here and wish each other well for your next relationships. Another from Toamante10. It's important to realize the difference between a kink and a fetish. A kink is something that's nice to have in a sexual relationship. A fetish is a hard requirement that must be present at all times during sex. Your boyfriend has a fetish. Sex isn't sex without it. This can be and often is a relationship ender. You can try counseling, but this sounds very much like you're sexually incompatible. And final comment from AMJ8. He'll be a fantastic partner for someone that's into this very specific thing. He's not a fantastic partner for you, who is so clearly not into it at all, despite trying to force yourself. Sometimes things just aren't meant to be. Now for story number 2, by a throwaway account, I, 29 female, am annoyed at my husband, 35 male, for giving his number to a girl at the gym and helping with her form. My husband likes to wake up at 5 to go to the gym. We are both very into our health and fitness. Last week he told me that a neighbor across from us was there at the same time and started a convo. That's how he realized we are neighbors. He said she came over and commented that my husband looks like he's training for something. He said she proceeded to talk to him for the next hour. My husband is a very sweet guy. He's very kind and friendly. This is to say that he's very approachable. Anyway, I didn't make much of it, and he even joked that he thought I'd be more annoyed, and he's glad I'm not. I said I think she was flirting, to which he agreed, but we joked it off, and I said it's good for his ego. Today he told me she was there again, and they talked for even longer, with her giving him his number to share about the supplement she takes. He said she was asking about his, and as soon as he came home, there were texts from her thanking him for the advice on her form and tips, and photos of the supplements. This is when he told me he helped her with her form in the gym too. Now at this point I got very visibly annoyed, and I said he shouldn't make it comfortable enough for young women to give him his number, and he should be friendly but curt unless it's people we both know. This made us argue because he says I should trust him, and he wouldn't be upset if roles were reversed. I do trust him, but I stand by my thoughts that he shouldn't be putting himself in potential situations where trust can even be questioned. I said he should be firm from the beginning. This girl, 22 female, obviously has a crush on him, which is fine, but why encourage it? I don't want to change his gym time or do absolutely anything to lose my peace of mind over this harmless incident, but I am quite annoyed and wanted to know if I'm overreacting. What are other people's thoughts? Sure, my thoughts are that he said himself that he is not oblivious to the fact that this woman is flirting with him, so it is his job to set up a clear boundary with this person, and not only did he not do this, but reciprocated by giving his contact information to this woman. If the roles were reversed, many would see this as a breach of trust. Not because he cannot have friends with those of the opposite sex, but because the expectation that this woman has set up for their relationship is a romantic one, not a friendship. His acknowledgement of that shows his intention. It would have been very easy for him to just say, "Hey, I don't mind talking about our workouts while we're at the gym, but I'm happily married," and just leave it at that. But let's see if I'm way off and the comments feel differently. Top comment by Death Cab Kitten reads, "So he agreed she was flirting and then gave her his number." I mean, that's all you have to say he knows what he's doing. Next comment by Sorry IDRGAF. No, it's weird to entertain someone you know is flirtatious with you unless you enjoy the attention. The fact that he allowed her to even get his number is strange and inappropriate. My rule in relationships is to avoid anything that looks questionable. Even if he truly means nothing by this, he should avoid these situations like the plague, for both of your sakes. Next by Blazing Sunflower Land. It's one thing to talk to the person working out next to you. It is quite another to give out your number and have this conversation going on, probably nonstop. He needs to draw a boundary that protects the relationship because this is how emotional affairs get going. I doubt he intends to have an emotional affair, but he does need to be aware that too much sharing creates an intimacy that harms marriage. Suggest that the two of you talk about this with a marriage counselor so that you can have help discussing it where you both feel heard. And final comment I want to outline with a couple of responses from OP. By Complete Design 5395. Your husband knows what he's doing. Don't let him play dumb or clueless. He should just admit he likes the 22-year-old woman's attention. He knows she's flirting, and he's crossing lines back. This is a huge F no for me. The first response from OP, right? We have the kind of relationship where we joke about the attention each of us gets, and we like for the other to feel good, desired, which is why I joked it off the first time. However, I do think a married man should know the difference in behavior with being friendly at the gym and not making it comfortable enough for another woman to share her number and ask for help with her form. Follow up by Blazing Sunflower Land. He needs to start talking about his wife with the young woman. Yeah, my wife works out too, and this is the supplement she takes. My wife has been working out and is in great shape. OP's second response. He did because he mentioned what I dressed up as for Halloween in their first chat. More context needed that I'm not going to type out. She knows he's married. And final comment by Kitten Love. Wait, so he knew she was flirting with him, still gave her his number, agreed with you that this was overstepping a line, and he's still talking to her? Hell no. Well, that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you all for listening as always. Be sure to leave a comment below about what you think about today's stories. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.